welcome back to the Photoshop Basics for Scrapbooking class. Today we are learning another advanced photo editing technique inside of both Photoshop Creative Cloud and Photoshop Elements. Today we are focusing on another one of my absolute favorite tools inside of the program called the Dodge tool and the Burn tool. The Dodge and Burn tool are a brightening and darkening tool. So one makes your page brighter and whiter, and the other makes your page darker and blacker. So I'm going to show you both of these tools, how you can use them to help really fine-tune some of the lighting in your photos. And also, this tool is my secret weapon when it comes to creating flat lay photos where my background is white and I'm trying to just bring out the color and vibrancy of the item on top of my white surface. So let's head over to the computer and let me show you how to use the Dodge tool and the Burn tool. All right, friends, so we're here back at my desktop where we're working inside of Photoshop Creative Cloud. I'm so excited to show you these two tools, the Dodge tool and the Burn tool, and how robust they can be in your photo editing process. So first of all, let's talk about where the Dodge tool and the Burn tool are located. These are going to be inside of the toolbar on the left-hand side of the screen here. And generally you're going to see the Dodge tool showing up for you first. It looks kind of like a lollipop here on the left-hand side. If you click and hold on that icon, a submenu will show up where then you can see the Burn tool, which looks like a hand making a circle, like an O with the fingers. Okay, so we've got the Dodge tool and the Burn tool. Now these tools are tools that are meant to help you brighten or darken your photo, but in a much more intricate way. So in order to show you this the best, I'm going to quickly go ahead and edit this photo so that it's looking a little bit brighter, lighter, and, whiter. So I did my quick increasing of the brightness and increasing of the contrast. I'm opening up my camera raw filter, which we talked about last week, selecting my white space because that's going to change all of the colors and make everything much more true to how it was taken. Then I'm going to increase my clarity. I generally increase my clarity to 5, my dehaze to 3, and my saturation to 3 as well. But feel free to play around with that as much as you like. Then I'm going to hit OK, and it's going to open this back up. So now I've got my photo edited at least mostly the way I want it to be. I may also increase the exposure just a tad, like maybe 0.05. Yeah, I think that's good. And I'm going to merge those together. I could have done that in the camera raw filter, but I didn't think about it while we were in there. Okay, so I have the Dodge tool currently selected, and it is this big circle is what my mouse turns into, which I can adjust the size of this circle by using the bracket keys on my keyboard. So the bracket key is going to look like the side of a box with like a little bit of, you know what, I will add that into the show notes because it's really hard to explain it by just describing it. Anyway, so the bracket keys. So one of the bracket keys, if you click it, it's going to reduce the size of my circle. And the other one, the opposite bracket, is going to increase the size of my circle. I generally like to use a larger circle if I can. And then what this is going to act like is kind of like a paintbrush, meaning if I click and hold and drag my mouse, it's going to quote unquote paint a level of brightness onto my photo. So you'll see it pretty nicely down here at the bottom. So if I click and drag this, it creates some additional brightness. And every time I do this, it's adding another little bit of brightness on top. Now currently I have my exposure set to 70%, which means that there is a little bit of opacity to it, which is kind of nice because it makes my lines not so sharp. I don't want my lines to be sharp where I'm clicking and dragging my brightness onto my photo. Like, I don't want that to be super definitive from the darker parts of my photo. I want it to blend nicely. And because of that, I'm keeping my exposure at 70%. I also am using the midtones instead of shadows or highlights. So just keeping it kind of, that's going to help me essentially to draw from the same colors that are currently on my page. So I'm not adding pure white on top of the color that's already there, because you would see that difference. It would be a very stark difference if I was putting pure white on here. So instead, it's picking up the tones of my photo. I'm just going to click and drag here and making things brighter. You can click and just like kind of go back and forth. That works too. And then you can really see how it's taking away those shadows down below, right? Now, if I go too much on here, it starts to overexpose things, and we definitely don't want that. So you just want to be mindful. Sometimes you might want to just click instead of dragging, right? So you just want to be mindful of where you are placing your color, what it all looks like. I might put a line right down here in the middle of my book just to brighten up the shadows there. And this is looking pretty darn good. So this is what I use to help me really make my background white on my flat lay photos. I'm going to open up another photo here. Let's do this one of me opening up the curtains, because you can use this same tool on photos that are not a white background. So for example, I might want to do my quick edits on this photo. So I'm going to increase that brightness and the contrast. We'll open up my camera raw filter, because this is definitely making my room feel green, more green. It has some blue to it. Let's increase the clarity, 5, dehaze 3, saturation 3. That's looking pretty good. See, my colors are massively different. Okay, so now let's say, you know, it's kind of dark right over here compared to over here. So maybe I want to just click and drag around this section and lighten up that wall. You can totally do that. Or maybe I want to lighten up this carpet. You know, I can totally do that too and make it a lot brighter. So this is a tool that's not just exclusively for white backgrounds. It's just a brightening tool. In the opposite stroke is the burn tool. So again, if we click and hold on the dodge tool, we have the option to select the burn tool. The burn tool does the opposite effect. It, quote unquote, burns or darkens your photo. So let's say that instead of lightening this, I actually want to darken over here. So again, I can adjust the size of the circle by increasing or decreasing with the bracket keys. And then I can click and drag to add some darkness onto the wall. So this might be the way to go to make the whole wall blend together a little better, right? So we darkened that right on up. Or perhaps on the photo that we were working on before, I feel like this yellow got a little overexposed. I can go back on top of it with the burn and add back in some of that darkness. Same with that like star that could use some more, maybe the heart. And then I think the rest of this looks pretty good. So it allows you to create some more contrast into your photo, especially if you're overexposing something on accident, or if you want to adjust some of the shadows in your photos. That's the burn tool and the dodge tool. Inside of Photoshop Elements, this tool works the exact same way. So it looks the same. You've got the lollipop over here. You know, let's go ahead and do my initial adjustments, which I forgot that we are in Elements, which means that I need to open this in Camera Raw first. It's so weird how it does that, right? Okay, so we need to do the white balance. I want that to be white because this is a pure white background. We're going to increase the clarity and increase the saturation. And there is no, oops, There is no dehaze. And then let's also bump up the exposure since we're in here right now. I think that looks pretty good. And then I'm going to click open. We're going to open this up. Awesome. Now, do I want to add any brightness or contrast in here? Let's see what happens. That's kind of overexposing it. Well, maybe just a little bit. But I definitely want to bump up the contrast just to give it some more definition. All right, and then we will merge those layers together. Okay, so let's start with the dodge tool. This is the one that looks like a lollipop. Again, you can increase or decrease using the brackets, or you can also use the size slider here at the bottom. The exposure right now is set to 50%. Let's bump this back up to 70. And then, oh, we're a little bit too big here. And then that is maybe a little too strong. Okay, let's go back to, nope, I want to redo the brightness, contrast, yes. Okay, let's bring this back down to 50% because that seemed a little too strong. Midtones, yes. Okay, here we go. So now we're gonna brighten this up, and that does seem better here. Oh, that just, well, we're gonna come back in that burn tool here in a minute. So we're going to clean this up, brighten it up, maybe go in there a little bit. That's looking pretty good. Okay, so we've got the edges are whitened and brightened. So now we're going to go down to the bottom here. So once you open up this menu, you get your submenu here at the bottom, and you can actually select that same symbol for the burn tool, which we can use here. I'm going to increase my size again. And then, too much. I can go back in. Oh, this one is definitely stronger than my Creative Cloud one. Okay, that's a little bit better. And let's burn the cork piece there a little bit more. All right, and I might also burn, because I overexposed the handle of my scissors, so I'll burn that and it'll bring it to a bit of that darker black color. Okay, so I'm thinking the way this looks right now is pretty darn good, and this is where I'm going to save it, right? So that's that one. Let's really quickly do this one as well. I'm not going to edit it all a bunch, but I will show you that I can do the same thing over here, darken up that wall, or we can do the opposite and we can brighten this side up more, or the ground. You can make that a bit brighter and just change the shadowing, the darkness and the brightness of our photos with using a fine-tuning tool, which is the dodge tool and the burn tool. So two of my favorite tools that I love to use to help me create lighting adjustments on my photos. All right, friends, that is going to be it for our lesson today. I hope that this one has been valuable for you. I hope that you have learned something new. For this week, I would love for you to spend some time working on your photos. Now that you have your basic editing down, your Camera Raw advanced editing down, now take some of those photos and see if you can fine-tune the lighting in the photos using the dodge tool and the burn tool. Especially give it a try on a flat lay photo. I feel like that is where these tools really, really shine. All right, friends, I am going to be back next week with our last advanced editing, advanced photo editing video. And then I have a couple more photo related lessons that are going to take you through some more scrapbooking types of steps, like putting white borders around your photos and printing photos and making collages, all of that kind of stuff we're going to talk about once we get done with all the advanced editing. But next week we have one more lesson to go where we're going to talk about the blur, smudge, and clone tools. So I will see you back here then. Until then, have a great rest of your day, and I'll catch you in next week's videos.